The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
Brendan Banfield, a former IRS criminal investigator, is accused of masterminding a twisted and calculated plot to murder his wife, Christine, inside their Herndon, Virginia home. Prosecutors allege that Brendan, seeking to escape his marriage and pursue a secret affair with the family's Brazilian au pair, Juliana Magalhães, posed online as Christine to lure a man, Joseph Ryan, under false pretenses of a sexual encounter. Once Ryan arrived, Brendan allegedly shot him in the head, then turned the knife on his own wife, stabbing her to death. The au pair, who later pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter, claimed she participated under Brendan's influence. Authorities say the murder scene was staged, but Brendan maintains his innocence. Was this a chilling act of betrayal, seduction, and premeditated violence fueled by lust and deception? Or is the husband the victim of a lying au pair lover? The murder trial is set for jury selection on Monday with court TV cameras inside the courtroom when the trial is expected to begin on Tuesday. But first, 5 years ago, Spencer and Monique Tepe were married in a small, intimate wedding inside their beautiful Columbus, Ohio home. And inside that home, they were raising a family, 2 young children, just 1 and 4 years old. Spencer worked about an hour away as a dentist, and colleagues say he loved this job and showed up on time every day with a big smile, full of energy, and ready to serve his patients. So when Spencer did not show up to work on December 30th, his colleagues thought something was wrong, and they were 100% right. Inside the house, behind locked doors, those 2 young children were heard crying. Also inside that house, Spencer and Monique were found shot and killed. No weapon left behind, just shell casings. Now investigators are searching for a killer in a case with many unanswered questions like, how did the killer get inside? And why would anyone do this to this wonderful family? I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And we begin with the murder mystery that everyone is talking about. This is a case out of Columbus, Ohio. You can see the house. This is where everything happened, inside this home. Monique and Spencer Tepe. They were married in that same home, raising a family in that home, 2 young children, and that's where they were murdered. What has a lot of people baffled here, and what is really the twist in this case that makes you think that maybe someone close to them did this, is the fact that they were found behind locked doors. And investigators said there was no evidence of forced entry. So how on earth did the killer get in? Did the killer know the code to the front door, to the back door? Was the killer let into the home? Was the killer already there? Or there's still the possibility that a door was left unlocked, and on the one night where they leave the door unlocked, some stranger who's going door to door to door finds one that's opened and commits the double murder. Now, you talk about the scene here. You look at that house. You go up on the second floor. That's where the bedrooms are. And the description from the 911 call was that Spencer was hanging off of the bed. You could see that he was, and you think of when this is happening. This is between 2 and 5 a.m. That's what investigators are giving us as sort of the time frame of when this is all happening. Those early morning hours, middle of the night, however you want to describe it. But it would make sense that Spencer would be upstairs in bed. And you're wondering, did someone break in? Was someone already in there? How does this happen? Why does this happen? The one clue that has been put out there by investigators is a person of interest. It comes from surveillance video. This is in the alleyway behind the home. The front of the home that we showed you is on a main street, and all the homes face that way, but the garages are in the back. And behind the garages, there's an alleyway where it's like a street, but it's more of a smaller street where you would put your garbage where the garages are for the homes on both sides of the street. And that's where this man was walking. Now, the video, as we figured out here with Gray Hughes the other night, is of the person of interest walking towards the home. He's about 1 block north, but walking towards the home down that alleyway on the back side of the home. Now, the family's had a spokesperson. We've been talking about him. His name is Rob Misla. He is Spencer's brother-in-law, and he's been the voice of the family. And he sat down for an in-depth interview with Scripps News in Cincinnati. Tanya O'Rourke did the interview. She's going to join us in just a moment, but really gave us an understanding for the impact of this crime on this family that now has 2 young children that need to be taken care of. Let's take a look at part of that interview.
I am Monique and Spencer's brother-in-law. I'm married to Spencer's younger sister, Madeline.
How are you?
Still confused, trying to put the pieces together just like the rest of the family. We're still in shock. Going through all of the, all of the types of grief all at once. So.
You told me a little bit beforehand. It was just about this moment 1 week ago, as we're sitting here, 1 week ago, almost exactly, that your wife got the call. Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, so we had actually just had somebody over who was there to look at our bathroom. We were going to redo our bathroom, so he gave us kind of a quote. He walked out. She sat down on the couch. We started watching SNL. I started cooking. Some breakfast, and then her phone rang. It was her mom. It happens all the time. But then, she's like, what? Starts progressively getting louder, and then kind of a scream. And then I, had to go over and try to figure out what's happening. She's just hyperventilating. And finally, I got her to put it on speaker, and it was her dad on the phone saying that Spencer is dead. And there was no context yet. I think we both just assumed car crash. And then finally I said, well, where's Monique? Where are the kids? And he said, well, Monique is dead too. We're like, where are the kids? He's like, the kids are with the neighbors. And then, after we finally slowly developed the story and what happened throughout the day, but yeah, just never forget that scream. The night that it occurred, Maddie and I were both at our condo at home in Cincinnati, and I'm up late working in my basement, editing video, and it's about 3 a.m. and she's upstairs, she was asleep, and then I heard footsteps, and she kind of got up between 3 or 3:30. She got up pretty quickly, and I kind of heard her sputtering around a little bit, and then I heard her walk to the kitchen, maybe get a water, and go back to bed, and didn't think anything of it. The next morning after we got that call, she said, and she got that call and had this immediate feeling of like she has to throw up. She said that the night before, at that time, she woke up out of nowhere with just a severe stomach pain and felt like she had to throw up. And I truly believe that that's just she felt what happened to Spencer, and the two have such a strong connection, his brother and sister. It's just, I think she felt his pain.
That is incredibly heartbreaking and kind of eerie, right? Your brother's being murdered, and at the time your brother's being murdered, you're feeling sick to your stomach, in another town? Wow. I want to bring in our special guest, the anchor and reporter from Scripps News Group Cincinnati, who interviewed Rob. Tanya O'Rourke is with us. Tanya, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. That was some moment there, right?
I'm really glad you aired that, because we did not have time to air that on our air. And it was one of those longer sound bites that quite didn't fit into our newscast. And I thought, God, but I remember bringing people over to my desk to watch it over and over again, because I said, this is a lot. Like, listen to this. And, you know, they live in Cincinnati, Rob Misla and his wife. And his wife is the only sibling of Spencer's. So they clearly have a very strong relationship, very close kinship. Rob has described to me that home that you're looking at right there, that this couple, Spencer and Monique, were really the glue of this family, the foundation. And that when they all got together, they went to Columbus and sat in that house and were together in that house, because that was kind of the couple they were. They were always inviting people to be with them and share time with them. And they were so welcoming and loving to others, and would bring in different types of people together. You know, Rob described that he didn't have these friends that he has now, and it was because Monique and Spencer introduced them and brought them all together. So it sounded like a really lovely couple, a couple that enjoyed life and were joyful to be around and welcoming and comforting to others too.
Absolutely. And we've got a flavor for that the other night when we were watching some pieces of the wedding video that Rob did, which was pretty amazing. And
it was really nice. Yeah,
and you really capture the essence of what this couple was about. And then you take it to the next level, right? Through the course of 4+ years, now you're bringing children into the world and you're raising the kids in the same house where you got married. All of it was a beautiful story until this ugly, ugly ending. Do you get any sense that, are they over the shock? Where would you say Rob and the family are in terms of seeking justice versus still trying to put together the pieces of, oh my goodness, Spencer and Monique are gone?
So I don't even think that they've dealt really with the fact that they've lost these people fully. And I know that they're going to have like a service of celebration of life this weekend. And Rob was saying to me, you know, I think once we get some justice, once we get some answers, we can finally start dealing with the loss that we are enduring at this point. They feel the loss. They certainly, you know, they know that this is never going to change. And they have these 2 children now that need parents, that need love and support. And so they're certainly surrounding those children, absolutely. But I think as far as dealing with the fact that these people are gone from their lives and getting to really grieve, I think that's really the hardest part for them. They don't know what happened. They can't understand why this happened to this seemingly lovable and loving couple. Why would someone murder them in the middle of the night in the same home where they got married and were raising their children? To me, it feels personal, but I don't have a clue as to what occurred. But to them, I think it feels personal too. I think that they have not even begun to scrape the feelings that they're going to be feeling over the next several months and years.
Yeah, and I know at Court TV, this is the situation very often, right? There's a family that's trying to get some sense of dealing with the justice part and dealing with the emotional part and the reality part of the next day, the next day, the next day. And I understand exactly what you're describing here, and it does make sense. Mm-hmm. I want to play another piece of the interview where Rob discusses the 2 children.
I don't know how to tell a 4-year-old that they're never going to see their mom and your daddy again. And it's like, how do you, and how does the 4-year-old understand, right? They have to grow as a person and develop that understanding of what death is, and you never truly understand it. But right now, it's just like, mommy and daddy, you're in heaven? Well, I want to go to heaven. You know, like, it's just it's a developmental understanding that you need to grow up and get older to get a better basis of, and you know, it's just going to take time. We understand that, but we are being supported by some child psychologists who are telling us kind of how to handle some situations.
Were they shielded at least from it, from visually seeing their parents?
Yes. So just from what we believe, and you know, this, I don't know what the police report says or looks like, so whatever they say is it, but I know that each child had their own room, and since the time frame was that they've given is between 2 and 5 a.m., you know, the kids were definitely asleep in their rooms.
Yeah, is there any sense, does he know, or do we know if the children were found in their rooms or if they were wandering around in the early morning hours looking for mom and dad?
I believe, and I don't have confirmed, that those kids were, well, they certainly didn't get into the parents' bedroom, but as for where they were specifically in the home, I don't entirely know. I think you mentioned the 911 call, they could hear kids crying in the house. And so I don't know, had they wandered out of their bedrooms and gone downstairs looking for mom and dad? I don't know the answer to that. But when you think about it, and I know you deal with this all the time doing what you do, you think about the absolute awfulness of all of this, and that those little kids are never really going to know their mom and dad. Maybe the 4-year-old will have some memory, some snippets that they'll think that they remember, and that memory is going to fade quickly at such a young age. But a 1-year-old child will never know Spencer and Monique, except through, you know, thank goodness. And I said this to Rob at the time, aren't you glad you took all those videos and pictures? And he said, yeah. You know, and they've been able to look through them again and see different things that they didn't notice really before, weren't important enough to make a video on their wedding day or something like that, but that now they'll treasure, because they're going to need those videos and pictures and stories to tell about Monique and Spencer to be able to raise these kids in a loving and understanding way of their own parents, because they're going to grow up without them. And that is just, you know, it's something I don't want to have to imagine, and I certainly, my heart breaks for this entire family.
Yeah, it's a gut punch. Here's Rob talking about the investigation.
I've seen a lot of people talk about the neighborhood and how it's, you know, not a nice neighborhood. We don't think it has anything to do with the neighborhood. It just seems like it was not a random act where somebody broke in and this, you know, trying to steal stuff. Like, it just seems a lot more intentional than that.
Personal.
Personal, yes.
That video that the Columbus police have released, what do you think of that video?
I can see it both ways. You know, the person looks sketchy and looks like they're trying to hide their face. At the same time, they kind of look drunk and they're slipping around, and it could be somebody walking home from a bar, but we just don't know. It's, you know, I hope that they know more than we do, and we trust that that's the case.
I mean, do you hope that whoever did this is brought to justice soon?
Absolutely. We would prefer done right than fast, but obviously us left hanging in limbo until then is incredibly difficult for the family. But yes, we're begging for justice swiftly.
So, Tanya, any information about old relationships or old business dealings or partners or anything like that came to Rob's mind?
Nothing that, as far as business, I don't think that they have seen anything untoward in their past in that way. I believe that Monique was married previously, but I have not really a lot of information about that person. I think that they don't have a lot of information about that person as well. It was a marriage that never had children. So these two children are Spencer and Monique's children. So this was a relationship prior to that. I know that you heard him say, do they want swift justice? Sure. But do they want correct, done well? This is going to be an impenetrable case. I think that that's what they would like. And if you can imagine, I mean, maybe you've reported on this or not, there have been so many rumors and so much speculation around this case because there's such a high interest in this case, because Spencer and Monique Tepe looked like they were living the perfect life Why would this happen to them? And they are having to field questions constantly, field accusations about what was happening in their lives potentially. And there's so many online sleuths anymore. It's a cottage industry, and there are so many theories out there. I don't even know if there are Facebook pages dedicated to who killed Monique and Spencer Tepe. And I think for the family, I think they're grateful for everyone being engaged and interested in perhaps they'll come up with a different idea or a lead, or that will produce some sort of suspect and some closure in this case. But I also know that that's a lot. I know I've had to message Rob a couple of times since that interview, like, hey, was this call made from their home? And he said, like, I've been fielding that question all day, and having to deal with all of those rumors and all of the speculation. While I think it might be helpful in some capacities, it's not. It's also harmful and hurtful for a family that's dealing with just so much right now.
Yeah, no, it's a double-edged sword, and you're just thrust into it instantaneously. It's not like, you gradually get into it or you've been through it before. It's everything all at once. Tanya O'Rourke, Scripps News in Cincinnati. Great interview. Thank you for spending part of your Friday night with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, folks, when we come back, the think tank is ready, locked and loaded. We've got some more information we need to go through on this investigation, plus coming up next hour.
Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates a peaceful New Jersey mansion turned into a scene of unspeakable horror overnight, with a brother, his wife, and 2 young children found dead in flames. Investigators say the killings came first, the fire next, and a chilling motive: money and betrayal. Tonight, how did a family feud end in arson and murder, and who will pay for the lives lost? Tonight, we investigate.
The Court TV podcast will return.
Columbus Police, Tech 107.
Yes, I would like to ask for a wellness check on an individual at their home.
Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm currently in the state of Florida. I'm on vacation, but this individual, Spencer, works with me, and he did not show up to work this morning, and we cannot get a hold of him or his family.
Okay, that's a 911 call. Spencer Tepe doesn't show up at work. They are concerned. They want a wellness check done. He doesn't live in the town where the dental practice is. It's like an hour 20 away. So they call 911, try to get someone there to see what happens. And it becomes a pretty much a chaotic morning because there's a bunch of 911 calls. But the police chief, Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryan, explained to WBNS TV 10 what happened when officers were first dispatched for that wellness check.
There was an officer that was dispatched to go to that well-being check. Unfortunately, he did respond to the wrong location initially. He went to the wrong location, and in him believing that he was at the right location, he did everything that he was supposed to do. Knocked on the doors, checked the backyard, did all those things, but it was not the right location.
So there's some mixed signals. So that makes sense now, because these other 911 calls wouldn't make sense if police had gone there initially. Take a listen.
What's the emergency there, police or medical?
Maybe both, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of doing the wellness.
We had a call out there. They knocked on the front door and back door multiple times, and there was no answer.
Yeah, no answer. I can hear kids inside, and I swear I think I heard one yell, but we can't get in. At this point, I don't know if I need to break the door in or just get in the house or what. So.
Okay, were you out there when the police was out there?
I wasn't. I just got here about 5 minutes ago.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll send them back out to you. What's changed since the last person I talked to?
There's a body. There's
a body inside?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get you on the line with the medic, okay? Stay on the line.
There's a body. Our friend wasn't answering his phone. We just did a wellness check. We just came here, and he appears dead. Okay. There's blood. He's laying next to his bed, off of his bed, and there's blood. I can't get closer to see more than that.
Okay, so you can tell he's obviously not breathing or anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it like kind of like huddle, like, you know, does he look like...
It doesn't look huddled. I can't look.
Okay. All right. I understand. Okay. And then when was the last time somebody spoke to him?
Yesterday, I suppose.
Yesterday? Okay.
Yeah.
How old is he?
37.
37. Okay. Is he like a drug user or anything like that?
No.
Okay. All right. Just that's a real young age.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. All right. We're on our way.
Now some of that makes sense, right? Because they could hear the kids outside, and then the last caller sounds like he's inside, able to see the body. Because remember, it's up on the top floor of the house. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney Josh Colesrud. Also with us, former law enforcement officer, host of the Strong Enough podcast, Claudia King, and finally, entertainment host Holland Reed. Welcome to everyone. Great to see you tonight. Let me ask you, Claudia. They're saying no forced entry here. It sounds like someone's in the house, though. Right? Describing the body?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that person must have figured out how to get in, or... So how do you determine if it's not forced entry? Like, let's start there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It sounds like this person had a garage code or a key, knew where a hidden key was or something like that. And so the same could be said for the suspect. They may have had a code to get in, a key, or knew where a hidden key was, because people still do that a lot now. If you have an actual key to your door, a lot of us now have codes to our door.
Yeah,
so we don't
they definitely have codes,
keys.
but sometimes you can have the code and a key as well.
Yep, so somebody could know that code or a secondary code. They give that out sometimes to workers or housekeepers, all kinds of things like that. You can have a bunch of codes floating around and not even remember it.
Josh Colesrud, your initial thoughts on this?
My initial thoughts are that this kind of reminds me of the Kohberger case, because in that case, the murders happened upstairs, and it appeared at the time that there was no forced entry. And we knew that it was really going to come down to forensics and geofencing and different type of forensic techniques. I think that the same thing's going to happen here. Now, this doesn't look professional because whoever did it made some serious mistakes, including leaving empty shell casings at the scene of the crime. Now, there are a couple of things that I'm looking forward to seeing. Number one is the autopsy, because it's going to be able to tell us specifically like around when the bodies died, right? Because your blood coagulates at a certain rate, so we'll have a better timeline. And that's important for two reasons. Number one, once they do the geofencing, where they can tell which cell phones are in the area, you better have a good alibi if you know these people. And if your phone is turned off during this time, that can be as big as a red flag as it being at the location itself. So, for example, if somebody is being investigated who is associated with the family and they just randomly turn their phone off from 2 to 5 o'clock, they're going to have a lot of explaining to do. So there's still a lot to investigate in this case.
Now, there's something else here, Holland. I want you to take a listen to this 911 call. This isn't from that night or that day. This is from 11 days beforehand, but from the neighborhood. Take a listen.
What's the emergency?
Somebody's knocking on my door. They're trying to get in. They're banging on my door.
Okay, someone's banging and knocking. Do you know who this is?
No. I'm serious.
Do you have a description of them?
No, I can't see anything from upstairs.
Have you asked them what they want or if they need something?
No.
All right, I've got to send up for someone banging and knocking on the door. If anything escalates or changes, give us a call back and let us know. We'll get officers there as soon as we can.
11 days beforehand, banging on the door. I've got something else for you, Holland. Take a look at this map so we can see where it's exactly from, because I think this is extremely significant as well. You see the Tepe residence. There's the December 9th. That's 7 houses away on the same street, but on the other side of the street. Same street, 7 houses away, other side of the street, same window of time after 2 a.m. on a weeknight. I think this is a potential real lead.
I'm gonna 1,000% agree with you, Vinnie. Unfortunately, I believe that this is a typical story, what we deal with true crime, as well as any script written in Hollywood. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. I believe this is a stalker situation, a super hyper personal situation. Someone was upset. This is not a stranger. They might have had the wrong house. They might have been looking for them and maybe went to the wrong house. This is absolutely something that is going to unfold in a Hollywood movie-like setting, because none of it makes sense according to the friends and family so far. But I do believe that it's someone close to them. Something nefarious else was going on in either this relationship, or someone that was possibly obsessed with this couple, maybe obsessed with just one of them. Maybe it was a patient. We have all been through situations where people get a little crazy and they do wild things, maybe not leading to murder, but there's always a beginning, a middle, and unfortunately, this was the ending. And I do believe it's going to hit so close to home in this neighborhood, not only 7 houses away, but within this community.
Claudia, we've seen the video that they've released. I listened to the entire interview with the police chief, and when they're asked about more video and more evidence, she quickly didn't answer it. But by not answering it tells me that, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, that I believe they have some more video of this shadowy figure and perhaps some more evidence, but maybe not a better look at the face of the individual.
I agree. And I want to say first real quick, that person 7 houses away, that could have been a test on response time for the police earlier to see how long is it going to take police to come out. Back to this person, though, I agree with you 100%. They have more video, and they probably have some other information that they're not sharing with the public. Just how Josh mentioned Kohberger, the police knew a lot more than they shared with us as that investigation went along. I think the same thing is happening here. They've got to hold back things from the public, 1, to make sure they get the right suspect, and 2, to not spook the suspect as they determine more information and get enough to charge this person.
Yeah. Everyone's kind of on edge, I think, in that neighborhood right now, because you don't know. You don't know if it's a rando or if a lot of people believe it's targeted. Until we know, we don't know, right? Okay. Everyone's sticking around. When we come back, get ready. We've got the trials lined up here at Court TV. This one beginning next week, the Au Pair Affair murder trial out of Virginia. Same courthouse, same courtroom, same judge as the Johnny Depp case, but this one, much different.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
A 911 call in February 2023 turned this house outside of Washington, D.C. into a hub of police activity.
Who is the shooter? Who shot who? Brandon.
Officers arrived to a chaotic scene at the Banfield home. One man shot dead and a woman clinging to life.
Still breathing. Still breathing?
Christine Banfield, a nurse and the wife of IRS officer Brandon Banfield, had been fatally stabbed.
Everything happened too fast.
The Banfield's nanny, Juliana Magalhães, told responding officers that she saw a strange man in the house with Christine.
I don't know who it is. He was spanking her. And then he was saying, police, drop the knife.
Magalhães said the man threatened Christine with the knife.
And Brandon said, no, police, don't drop the knife. And then he was saying, I'm gonna kill her. And I don't know, he started stabbing her. I think Brandon shot him, and he asked me help to shot him too because...
It's okay. You don't have to get it all out right now.
I never saw it before.
The story that Juliana Magalhães told police raised suspicion. A months-long investigation revealed that Juliana and Brendan Banfield were actually lovers. Prosecutors say the two schemed to kill Christine by luring a man to the house to play out a rape fantasy. Joseph Ryan accepted the invitation, thinking he was meeting Christine for violent sex play, and brought a knife and restraints. Magalhães told police Ryan stabbed Christine and Brendan shot him. But that story changed. Magalhães pleaded guilty to manslaughter in the death of Joseph Ryan. And in a statement to prosecutors, she said the plan was masterminded by Brendan to avoid a divorce.
When I asked him, we're going to divorce her, he said, that's not what I'm thinking about. And then he explained that he was thinking about finding a way to just get rid of her out of the picture.
Brendan Banfield is charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder and faces life in prison without parole if convicted.
All right. This case, one of 2 big, highly anticipated trials here at Court TV next week. This one and the Paul Canero trial. We're going to talk about at 9 o'clock tonight. But let's bring back in our think tank, Josh Colton, Courtney King, Holland Reed. Josh, the allegations against this IRS agent are like the level of planning and plotting and the sickness of this whole thing, of allegedly creating an account on a fetish website for his wife to lure a man to come over to carry out this rape fantasy, and then all along planning on just going, bursting in on him and shooting him and then stabbing her to frame the guy that he just shot for the murder of his wife. This is sick stuff.
Well, it's sick, and that's if you take everything that the prosecution has said at their word. I mean, there's 3 different possibilities here. I mean, number 1, that Juliana is the puppet master. Number 2, that Brandon is. Or number 3, that, it's what Scott or Brandon really said it was. He walked in and he felt like his wife was under attack and he stopped it. Now, there's enough gaps in the evidence here that you really can't say that the prosecution has a very strong case, because they don't. Their case hinges entirely on the credibility of a person who has a motive to lie. And that's going to be pointed out. So what is the corroborating evidence? Because you have to have corroborating evidence whenever you have a snitch as a witness, because juries don't like snitches unless there is a reason to believe them. So what do they have? Well, they have a profile on a website for people who are into fetishes, but it all came from the wife's phone. And they infer that Brandon had access to it, but there's no evidence that he did, or at least no direct evidence. There's nothing that has his personal IP address. They're going to rely on language, that this is not the way that she would write text messages. This is more in style of Brandon's. But again, that's an inference. And there are a lot of inferences here. So I don't think this is going to be a very easy case for the prosecution.
Holland, when I think about the situation, right? The bottom line is that Brendan Banfield and his child's au pair, before the double murder, was with the au pair already. So the affair with the au pair precedes the murder of his wife and Joseph Ryan, the man who came over with the knife that morning. I think that will lay heavily with this jury. But Josh is right. It's going to be the testimony of this Brazilian au pair who's in her 20s.
Vinnie, first and foremost, who wrote this script? Because it's terrible. This is the most ridiculous, predictable script in history. You've got the nanny or the au pair that comes over, the foreigner, what have you. But we cannot blame the idea of her being an au pair. This was a decision by 2 adults to get into an affair in the first place. An affair is one thing, murder is something completely different. And then hire for murder, plotting for murder, everything that Josh just said. It's going to be hard to prove who was the puppeteer, who wrote the script, what was the motive in all of this. Did she want to stay in the United States? Did she want to marry this man? Was he in love with her? They wanted to get rid of the wife. There are so many things at play. And then also going back to Josh's point about the phone, when we have access to people's phones, that's something that people do that all all the time, create fake accounts. They use different computers, tablets, and what have you. So there's going to be a lot to prove here. But who wrote the script, I think, is going to be the biggest upheaval for the prosecution and for the defense, because this is the worst written script that I've seen when it comes to true crime and anything involving these levels of, indecencies.
Yeah, Claudia, I'm waiting to see the defense tell this jury that Christine Banfield was into BDSM and rape fantasies, especially first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, they cannot bash the victim like that, and that's what they're seemingly going to have to do. And I want to say, to Holland's point, here's who wrote the script. In 1995 in Illinois, Mark Winger did this exact thing. He lured his wife's creepy shuttle airport driver to their house and pretended that the shuttle driver was killing the wife. He came in and saved the day by killing the shuttle driver. He was having an affair with his nanny as well. So I think these two...
Yeah.
About this case,
so it's a repeat. Everything's a remake.
It's a repeat.
We're out of time.
It's a repeat. It's not original.
Claudia King, Holland Reed, Josh Colesruth, thank you so much. When we come back, something else you need to know tonight.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Back in court. Who's back in court? No, it's not Chandler. It looks like Chandler on the left-hand side. No, it's Luigi Mangione. Alex Miller, Scripps News Group, has the latest from federal court.
Luigi Mangione making his first federal appearance since April 2025. Mangione brought into the courtroom in a tan jumpsuit, unshackled at the hands, but shackled at his feet. He was calm as he spoke with his attorneys as the judge prepared to hear arguments that could result in a life or death decision for him. Mangione's team is specifically focused on the federal charges 3 and 4, one of which is a murder charge that could carry the death penalty. They say the arguments behind the charge are legally flawed. The discussion between the attorneys, including a special attorney Mangione's team hired to argue this case, was in the weeds, at times discussing stalking and intent and whether they amount to a violent crime. Prosecutors allege Mangione stalked United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in person and online before killing him. The defense is also aiming to have evidence, including Mangione's backpack and its contents, thrown out. The judge declined to assign a trial date, saying that she had too many motions to consider that could have other implications. Alex Miller, Scripps News Group, New York.
And I just want to remind you that if Mangione gets some of the evidence thrown out, this is the really only chance, other than a juror just not wanting to convict him because they hate insurance companies. I mean, this case has everything. He's on video doing it. He's caught with the murder weapon. He's got a manifesto confession. His DNA is found on a water bottle that, with a man wearing the same clothes and his face, drinking that water bottle at Starbucks. It's got every single thing they need, but we'll continue to track both cases. Right now, I need you to take a look at your television screens because we have a missing child tonight who needs your help. This is Maggie Place, missing from Newton Lower Falls in Massachusetts, just 16 years old. Please take a look at the picture. If you see Maggie, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Newton Police Department up in Massachusetts. That number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Maggie to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.
There you have it. If you want to see more in-depth reporting on the latest true crime stories, you can see me every weeknight, 8 p.m. Eastern on Closing Arguments. Thank you so much for downloading. And as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.